Testing. Testing. Our council meeting on March 19th, 2025. I'll now ask Will Short, Regional Clerk, to do the roll call.
Thank you, Chair Redmond. Regional Chair Redmond.
Present.
Councillor Craig.
Present.
Councillor Erb. Councillor Foxton.
Present.
Councillor Harris. Present. Councillor Hunick. I'm present. Okay. Councillor James. I can see Councillor James. She's online. Yeah. Okay. Councillor Nowak.
Present.
Councillor Shantz.
Present.
Councillor Rabanovic.
Present, but my camera's off as I'm in the car.
No problem. And Councillor Wolf.
Present.
Thank you, Chair.
Colleagues, I would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather today is a traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and the Channotton peoples. In doing so, I want to reflect on what it means to be doing important community work like we are engaging in collectively today, and also my own individual relationship to this land. As a settler, one of the most important aspects of my individual journey towards truth and reconciliation has been to listen. I am continually grateful to a community that shares their stories and their concerns with me. As well as chair of the region, I know I carry a large responsibility to ensure that it's not just myself on the individual level listening and acting, but that as a government we are listening and creating action with the community. I'm offering this acknowledgement as one of the many actions I personally in the region largely is taking on our journey towards reconciliation. We acknowledge the enduring presence of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land today, their achievements and their contributions to our community. Are there any declarations of... Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Colleen, you're just making sure we know you're here, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. We have no presentations, no petitions. We do have delegations. And before we proceed with the delegations listed on the agenda, I would like to remind all delegations of some guidelines for participation. If you're attending in person, please proceed to the podium when you are called upon to speak. You have 5 minutes if you registered before the deadline and 3 minutes if you registered afterwards. Additionally, some reminders: if you conduct yourself in any of the following manners, it will result in an immediate removal from the meeting: interrupting councillors, staff, or other delegations, derogatory statements about councillors, staff, or others, turning your mic on in inappropriate times, hate speech, or defamatory comments. One last reminder for delegations: please do not take offense if following your presentation there are no questions from council. This is council's time to really listen and reflect upon the opinions and the ideas shared with us from community members. A quick reminder to members of the audience: you're asked to address council. Do not address council without the permission of the chair. Do not interrupt anyone, disrupt the meeting with unreasonable noise or vocal expressions such as applause, booing, or cheering, or display signs or posters. The first delegation is Lloyd and Linda Van Wyck from Kitchener. Are they online? They are. Welcome. You have 5 minutes.
Me? Yes, I'd like to say something, please. Is there hope that you'll consider reinstating a discounted GRT fare for seniors? It appears that this region has little regard for tax-paying senior citizens. Other jurisdictions offer discounts. Toronto, for instance, charges $2.30 fare, seniors fare, while we pay a whopping $3.75. I've been told if we were to prove ourselves to be poor enough, we could get a reduction. How insulting, evasive, and disrespectful. Services that respect seniors, such as drugstores, movie theaters, Giant Tiger, Value Village, Salvation Army stores, the Mandarin Restaurant, plumbers, furnace repairmen, and other repairmen, offer discounts without asking to see our bank statements. If in time I'm forced to rely on the GRT just to grocery shop, it require at least 2 trips per week for myself and my wife. This would be $30 per week for a minimum of $1,560 per year. Plus, seniors need to go to free medical appointments and maybe go out to socialize from time to time. $3.75 a ride, that would hasten seniors on the way to the poorhouse. I've been told that the TTC can give discounts to ridership because they have 100 times more riders than the GRT. Since Toronto is only 6 times larger than the region, it doesn't say much for the GRT. Perhaps it lacks in providing the services that people want and need. By the way, children under the age of 12 ride for free on the TTC. I can only assume that reducing senior fares, that you feel that reducing senior fares result in lost revenue. I don't think it would be that bad. Perhaps the increase in senior ridership would fill that many empty seats I've seen on buses. In fact, revenue may increase if you inform the media, news media, and place posters on the buses concerning the new fare reduction. Please, at least consider putting this in as a pilot project to see how it goes. Also, I think more revenue could be made by offering reduced fares on off hours for everyone. By the way, I wrote this in the afternoon, and at 6:20 I reconfirmed to my disgust that you don't offer reductions in fares for children. Ladies and gentlemen of the council, I don't think you should be proud of what you're doing here. I was absolutely shocked to hear that even children don't receive reduced fares. And I understand, if I'm correct, that I heard in the media, I think your ridership went down 2.8%. I think you ought to be really taking this seriously. I don't think that, with all due respect, you guys are doing a very good job in helping us, the citizens of this city, the region. Thank you very much for hearing me. I appreciate it.
Lloyd, thank you very much. I'm going to just ask Mr. Spooner, we have a business plan. Can you share when that's coming forward, and perhaps we could send a copy?
Through you, Chair, and also a thank you to Lloyd. So as noted by Lloyd, we at GRT have moved away from age-based fares into needs-based fares, more specifically the Affordable Transit Program, and that is for those who qualify a 50% discount on all fares. July 1st, that will become 55%. And the goal of that is getting discounts to people who really need them. So as part of the business plan, rightly noted, Chair, we've looked at age-based fares along with what our partner agencies have done, of which Lloyd has just informed you quite well of the TTC structure, and consulted the community on that. So the business plan is coming to you at our next Sustainability, Infrastructure and Design meeting on April 8th. And at that point, we will address seniors' fares, but I will work with clerks to make sure we provide a copy of that to Lloyd when available. Thank you.
Thank you. Lloyd, I see no questions, so thank you very much for your intervention, and we will share that report with you for your information.
Yeah, in all due respect, it seems like we're getting the bums rush and they're really going to do nothing. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. The next delegation is Swami Chaitanya Jayoti. Welcome. You have the floor and you have 5 minutes. And Swami, you look like you've deputized somebody else. Do you want to tell us what your name is, please?
Hi everyone, my name is Vikas Tomar and I will be representing the Hindu Ramdham temple on behalf of Swami Chaitanya and Swami Haripriya ji. So first of all, I want to thank all of you, the councillor committee here, who is giving us the opportunity to speak and let us telling you the issues and the problems that we are having. I am here for the request of the GRT route, and at this time there is no route to the temple. To give a brief history for the temple, it has been operated by the Brahm Rishi Mission of Canada, and they started with in 1978 back home. In 1986, the mission started this temple in Lancaster Street, and they saw a significant recognition, visits from various people and all, right? So they decided to move to a Bridge Street facility that we have, and since then, 1995, they have been operating from there. And I'm here, and we are here to request the GRT route to be there. As of now, there is no route to the temple, and the people are facing a lot of issues in terms of reaching to the temple facilities. I also want to highlight the things that is being handled at the temple. So for an example, in terms of the cultural activity and the religious activities, there is a Bal Vihar and kids camp that is being organized. There are yoga classes that is being organized weekly. Senior health club is being operated as well. Sanskrit classes, Hanuman Chalisa, Mahamrityunjay Yag, free yoga and meditation sessions, Diwali celebrations, Dasara celebrations, Holika Dahan and Ganesh Chaturthis. All these are cultural activities that is being organized, but this is not the only thing that is being done. Along with the community and the religious event, this has been, we have been welcoming all the communities and religious there. So we support all the religious activities, provide opportunities for the people of all ages to engage in temple activities, including meditation, yoga, health clubs, senior clubs, and Sanskrit classes. The temple also encourages community participation in wellness programs, promoting a holistic approach to health and well-being. Counseling services is also provided in the temple for the people who needs it or who has moved from the different countries here. So there's been a counseling that has been supported as well for mental well-being of the community. It also benefit in terms of the intergenerational connections through the activities that caters to all ages, groups, fostering a sense of unity within the community. It also benefits in terms of reducing the need for private vehicle use, so that the request for public transport, at this time, there's a big problem in terms of the communications, in terms of the to reaching out to the temple. So the only private vehicle is the only option that is being available. And since if we have the public transportation, it will help us in various ways. For an example, at this time, the private vehicles will be reduced. And if we talk about a single event that happens, for an example, the Holi that recently been celebrated at temple, it actually crossed over 4,000 people. So it was a complete chaos and mess around the temple, and it was very difficult to manage for the temple and the other bodies, right? So the request is that a route should be established.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Yeah, thank you. So the request is a bus route should be established for the temple directly, so the people can use the public transport rather than going through the personal vehicles. There are senior peoples as well who has a problem and doesn't have a vehicle. They have to stop to a private, to a far away bus stop, and they have to walk, which is very difficult. So it is not for one kind of community or one age of people, it is for everyone, and it is going to benefit all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councillor Hunick.
Chair Redmond, first of all, I would like to thank the delegation for coming, and we know that places of religious observance can serve as community hubs for many people, and so I wonder if the Commissioner of Transit could speak to the ability or not ability to implement such a bus route as being requested.
Through you, Chair, and thank you for the question, Councillor, and thank you to Swami and the community members from the Ramdam Temple. Council, I've been able to meet with the temple twice to talk about transit demand, and through those meetings have been able to cost a service. The service we would look at out of the gate is not perfect. There is an inability to turn a bus around, and so we'd actually look at extending and using a variant that we have existing today. And what this would do is bring the current stop closer to the temple from roughly 800 meters to 450 meters, and then also run it on Saturdays and Sundays. Council, the overall cost of this annualized is roughly $720,000 or 6,500 hours of service. This was not included in our 2025 service plan. As you can appreciate, we had a lot of competing challenges this year in what to bring forward. Now, in my discussions with the temple and the emerging needs now, if appropriate, I would be open to exploring potential pilot days. As you've heard, there are days that drive significant volumes of people, up to 4,000 people visiting the temple. And as you know, transit agencies get very excited by demand. And so we believe there is demand here and the ability to test, solve an immediate problem, which are the high volume days, and then look at how to include the service ongoing, because it is included in our business plan as part of the geographic expansion. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Spinner. Chair Edmund, I don't know if that requires a motion for the pilot days or what the next steps would be, but if you could fill me in on that, that would be very helpful.
I'm going to suggest that maybe that would come back to council as well as a process on how we would consult with the community.
Great.
I think direction is sufficient. Councillor James.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. I was just going to suggest direction, the same thing that you just said, that that could come back with what that could look like.
Thank you. It sounds like you have some listening ears, and I guess, Doug, I would just ask, what would the timing, would that be part of the April report, or would you see that coming after? So just give some kind of timeline.
Yeah, through you, Chair. We've got a lot to talk about with the business plan on April 8th. I could likely advance a quick report in that timeline just on which days would be most important for pilot service and how we would start. So happy to do that. I'll say in the April timeframe. Whether or not I hit April 8th will be a question.
Thank you, and I think the financial implications are, because this is outside of the budget, is really important too. So thank you very much. We've had one delegation rescheduled, so the next delegation is Susanna Compton from Waterloo. Welcome, Susanna. The floor is yours, and you have 5 minutes.
My name is Susanna Compton. I grew up on a farm in Wilmot. I live in Waterloo. I'm here because you're still ignoring our farmers. Councillors, what will it take for you to care? Does it take your neighbors being the ones under threat of expropriation? Does it take your own homes, your businesses under threat? Does it take the shelves at the grocery store being all American products? If you want made in Canada, you can't take away our prime farmland. Our farmland is not infinite. But do you even care? You've been ignoring our delegations. The Land Assembly in Wilmot is government overreach. It's a threat to all our agriculture. If the government can come and grab 6 farms and 6 residences at what appears to be a whim, because there has been no proper planning, no transparency, and no discussions with the public, then what farm is safe? The countryside line has been the hard stop that allows development to go this far and no further. On the protected side of the countryside line, farmers were investing in their businesses because they understood that their land would still be farmed in 5, 10, even 20 years. No different than any other successful business. This land assembly cuts into the heart of that. Who will be next? Will you take Fenning's land? Will you take the Hurley's farm? Martin's Apples? Benjamin Tree Farm? These names are familiar to everyone, but there are 1,409 farms across the region just as important as those familiar names. And they are all concerned that they could be next. You have not even said that you will protect other farms from development, let alone built some kind of plan for that protection. In a time when tariffs are in the news every day, and we are all learning how important it is to be able to feed ourselves as a province and a country. A significant factor in feeding ourselves is here in Waterloo region. You can't make food products if you don't have their primary ingredients. You get those primary ingredients on a farm. Full stop. Food isn't made in factories, it comes from a farm. Our farms are the highest quality of farmland in Canada. Drive a couple hours north and they can barely get feed crops to grow. Not all farmland is equal. According to the Ontario Federation of Agriculture, the list of things we can grow, the diverse variety of crops we can grow here in Waterloo region is the longest list in Canada. We can grow almost anything here. In fact, in all of North America, Waterloo region is second only to California in what the land can produce, and they are running out of water. It's been over a year since Can Acre first approached the landowners regarding this land assembly. I've spent that year learning about local politics and regional planning and what discerns farmland quality. And I've learned that you, councillors, have a tough job. Waterloo region is highly diverse in many ways. The demands, needs, and expectations put on you are significant. This council has done some really good work. And Waterloo region has become known as a region with some of the best planning in all of Ontario. So to you, councillors and staff, I want to acknowledge that hard work. I believe that your hard work is worth fighting for, but you have to understand how deeply you have broken our trust. I think QP 1656 agrees, councillors. Your people deserve better than broken trust. They deserve fairness. Waterloo region was the first in the province to pass the smoking bylaw, which Tom Galloway addressed when he accepted his Jack Young Civic Award recently. Clearly, the smoking bylaw wasn't easy, but Mr. Galloway said it was the right thing to do. You have a history of doing the right thing even when it's difficult. Councillors, we want to be able to trust you again. We want this relationship of council and constituents to work well. We're not trying to undo the system,
Susanna, you
but
got a minute
need
left.
to meet us. Mr. Galloway also said what an important accomplishment the Countryside Line was, one of his proudest. You must reinstate the Countryside Line. Fight for it. I get it. Your hands are tied. You don't have the same authority you did. Things have changed. You have an NDA. That is why it's more important than ever that you straighten out your priorities. Your sole responsibility is to the citizens of Waterloo region, not the investors. Taking good farmland and destroying it in an age of food insecurity is wrong. Investing our resources and your reputation in unknown manufacturing at a time of tariff wars is wrong. Building an industrial site next to 80% of the region's water supply is wrong. Step up and be the Waterloo region that does the right thing. Assemble land that will serve as an example of what can be done when agriculture, environment, and urbanization actually work together. Stop the land assembly in Wilmot. Thank you.
Thank you, Susanna. I don't see any questions, and thank you, audience, for being so respectful. The last delegation is John Lee Bannister from Waterloo. Whoa. John Lee, when you make your way to the podium, you have 5 minutes. Should I wait? No, you go ahead. No, we'll start the clock when you get there. It was just, you looked like you were having trouble getting out of your seat.
Giving myself a second here, just in case. Okay. Good evening, everyone who has come out today for QP and for Palestine. My name is John. I'm the first vice president of the Waterloo Regional Labor Council. And for a few weeks left, I am still Chairman John at PSAC Local 902. Many of you may have had the chance to see me discuss the ludicrous nature of the QP strike and how this council refuses to do what's right, what's fair. But there's something bigger going on. It's this relationship. In fact, in my view, I think that every employer is unfair. Every wage is a Band-Aid. Dear council, whom I feel no dear emotions for, were you not glad when the roads were cleared after that horrific snowstorm? Don't you feel refreshed when clean, uncontaminated water flows out of the pipes at your homes? I take it for granted. I took a lot of things for granted, but when I met and spoke with these fellow neighbors, an acidic pit formed in my stomach. Why? When without these workers, our entire lives are out of balance. I don't offer you this passion, council. I offer the many people in this room the passion of anyone who's ever been to a rally, anyone who's ever been to a protest, or even anyone who's been to a meeting. Council, you might be used to suggesting that the people in this community are more important than yourselves, but I'll make it clear they are. The actual numeric, material, consequential worth of the workers of QP 1656 that they provide are genuinely more important than the functionary bureaucracy you perform on our behalf. Let me not cast my stone from a glass house. In the Labor Council, any member can speak or bring forward a motion in the meeting. If that were true today for this chamber, immediately we would cease the strike. A motion to grant everything these workers have asked for, and that would be fair, at least for the way that these workers have been treated. No doubt, you notice also, Micah Thea, as I come to alert all of us of the renewed bombing and broken ceasefire. Into the room, I say, if your heart aches for Palestine, please see me after this. Join the many Palestinian support organizations that there are in this community. If you want to get your union involved, we can also get that done too. I'd like, if possible, to hold a moment of silence for those lost and those we are losing this very moment. If you'd like to stand or are able, please do so. Thank you. And lastly,
I'd ask everyone to please
no,
be
they're allowed.
respectful of the delegation.
That's okay.
No, it's not.
And lastly, Karen Redmond. I just want to share how I'm feeling as your constituent, my frustration. I am tired of treating folks who do not have my class interests with politeness and decorum. I am tired of living in a world where people like us have to struggle against people like you. Do not seek to shake my hand. Do not thank me for my time. We are not the same. Our struggles will not align until these workers get something that is fair. Our struggles will not align until this entire council collectively and actively
1
works to
minute
support
left.
those being bombed in Gaza. If there is anyone in this room who is a worker in a union who sees the value in collective organizing, please visit the Labor Council. There is so much to do, and there are many lives to save. Free Palestine, up the workers, and Karen, I hope you have a wonderful night. Thank you.
Going to move on because the delegation asked me not to thank him. I won't. I don't see any questioners. So we are now going to move to item number 7, minutes of the previous meetings. I need a motion to approve items 7.1 to 7.12 on the agenda, moved by Councillor Hunick, seconded by Councillor Wolf. Please use your e-scribe to cast your ballot.
Chair Redmond, I'm in favor.
Thank you.
In favor. Oh, there it is.
Colleagues, that is carried. There are communications items 8.1 through 8.8. Those are received for information. Going on to item 9, motion to go into committee of the whole to consider reports. If I could have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Harris, seconded by Councillor Foxton. Please use your e-scribe to vote that the council go into committee of the whole to consider reports.
Chair Redmond, I'm in favor.
Thank you. Colleagues, that is carried. The first report is finance report. This is an annual report by Commissioner Wayne Steffler, Corporate Services Chief Financial Officer. Are there any questions? Wayne, do you want to set the stage, or you're just here to answer hard questions? Okay. There is no vote required. That is just an annual report. I see no questions. The next committee report is Community and Health Services Committee summary of March 4th, 2025. I need a mover and a seconder, and there are,
I got it.
okay, moved by Councillor Hunick, seconded by Councillor Craig.
Oh.
Councillor Shantz and Burvanovic, are you in favor?
Oh, sorry, yes, I am.
Thank you. Colleagues, that is carried. The next motion is to approve a summary of Infrastructure and Development Committee from March 4th, 2025. And there are several pages. I'm not going to read them. If I could have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Wolf, seconded by Councillor Foxton. Please use your e-scribe to vote.
Chair Redmond, I'm in favor.
Thank you, Councillor. That is carried. Colleagues, 10.2.3 is Administration and Finance Committee summary of March 4th, 2025. There are no recommendations. So that's just for information. I don't see any questions. Next agenda item is the closed committee summary. We now vote to approve the summary listed on the agenda. If I could have a mover, and it's moved by Councillor Harris, seconded by Councillor McCabe. Please use your icons to vote.
Chair Redmond, I'm in favor.
Thank you, Councillor. Colleagues, that is carried. 10.3 is Board of Health, health update, and I'll call on Dr. Wong, Commissioner of Public Health and Paramedic Services, Medical Officer of Health, to provide a verbal update for information. Welcome, Dr. Wong.
Thank you, Chair Redmond. Good evening, members of Council. Thank you for the opportunity to present a Board of Health update with information about measles and our annual enforcement of the Immunization of School Pupils Act. First, about measles. There has been increased measles activity in Ontario, in particular in southwestern Ontario, with confirmed cases in neighboring jurisdictions. As of March the 12th, over 350 cases of measles have been reported across 11 local public health agencies, with 116 new cases reported in the last week. Huron, Perth, Grand Erie, and Southwestern Public Health have been identified as areas of concern by the Ministry of Health, with a high number of confirmed cases and outbreaks which they are actively managing. At this time, there have been no cases yet among Waterloo Region residents. Measles can cause serious illness and death. Infants under 1 year of age, unimmunized pregnant individuals, and people with weakened immune systems are at increased risk of complications. There are steps residents can take to protect themselves and their families. 1, ensure you are up to date with measles vaccinations. 2, monitor yourself and your family for signs and symptoms, especially after returning from international travel or areas experiencing measles outbreaks. And if you develop symptoms, limit contact with other people, call your healthcare provider or walk-in clinic and notify them about your symptoms before the appointment so they can take precautions to prevent others from getting sick. And finally, an update about the Immunization of School Pupils Act. As of March 13th, there were approximately 6,500 students still not up to date with their immunization records. Parents and guardians have 2 more weeks to ensure their child's records are updated, either by submitting the records, receiving the required vaccines, or submitting an exemption. Elementary students without updated records will be suspended on April the 2nd, 2025. Parents began receiving letters of notification for incomplete immunization records from Public Health in November of last year. There were over 13,000 letters of notification issued. These numbers align with what we have seen historically regarding the number of suspension orders sent based on the number of initial notification letters. It is important, as a reminder, that parents and guardians are asked to regularly report their child's vaccinations to Public Health, as healthcare providers do not report these vaccinations to us. And finally, students or parents can submit immunization records or provide notification of an upcoming vaccination appointment at regionofwaterloo.ca/vaccines. And I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
We do have a couple. Thank you very much, Dr. Wong. Councillor Hunick.
Dr. Wong, thank you, Chair Redmond. Dr. Wong, would you be able to summarize what up-to-date vaccinations against measles looks like? Do we need one once a year, once every 5 years, once per life?
It does depend on the age of the person and also what types of activities they do, for example, for a living. So it's not possible to provide one answer for everyone.
Okay.
But your best source would be your healthcare provider with your medical history.
Great,
Thank you.
Councillor James.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Dr. Wang, can you just provide some insight as to possibly why we're seeing still same resistance? Is it, from lack of education, cultural barriers, just what, public health may be hearing, as well as the schools, into why there may be resistance or lack of getting the required vaccinations?
Thank you for the question, Councillor James. What we have seen in these recent cases in Ontario, in particular southwestern Ontario, is that the large majority of these cases are occurring among people who are unimmunized. In terms of the reasons for this, what we do know is that there are varied reasons among individuals. And one of the efforts that we try to undertake at Region of Waterloo Public Health is to monitor the records of school children. And, we undertake the annual enforcement of the Immunization of School Pupils Act to try to maintain levels of measles vaccinations among school children that are broadly protective of that population and, by extension, the general population. That doesn't mean that, everyone is protected, which is why we have to still be vigilant, especially if we're returning from international travel or coming from an area with lots of measles, like there are right now in certain areas of southwestern Ontario. But it is one of the steps that we have to continue to work on, every day, actually, in order to try to keep up our health defenses and protect not only ourselves, but those that are more vulnerable, such as infants and pregnant women who cannot, who may be at increased risk, and those with lower, who are more immunosuppressed, protect them from measles, which can be, quite severe.
Councillor James, another question?
Yeah, just to follow up in terms of the suspensions from school. So it may be a school board thing as well, but just in terms of process there. So students will be removed from school until they get their vaccination. Do you know what that looks like in terms of the education or any gaps that may happen there, just as a result of possible suspensions?
Yes, thank you for the question, Councillor James. So according to the Immunization of School Pupils Act, students can remain suspended up to 20 days. So that's it. That would be the maximum number of days that they would be suspended. And of course, if they update their records or they get immunized, we work to immediately allow them back in school. So it is a maximum of up to 20 days.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Foxton.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. Dr. Wong, thank you for all you do. It's a tough situation where you're trying to save these lives, and we all appreciate it. And I'm grateful it's not in Waterloo Region, but that doesn't change that children across our province are dying. Is there anything more we can do? So if your child gets the measles, and we start treating them, is there a good chance that they can be saved?
Thank you, Councillor Foxton. So no, there's no treatment for measles. So you do, if someone develops it, they will get what's called supportive treatment, to try to make sure they're comfortable, try to treat their symptoms, but there's no treatment per se. And so really the best way to try to address measles is to prevent against it. So your previous question was, yes, so when measles is this present in a community or in surrounding communities, it's likely to, at least in the initial weeks and months, it's likely to continue to grow, especially if there are more people that are unimmunized that are exposed. So we'll have to see over time, over the next few weeks. I think we'll start to get a better idea, especially now that, March break has finished. I think over the next few weeks, we'll start to have a better idea of the trajectory of this outbreak. But we likely will see some more cases, and just because we haven't seen cases among Waterloo Region residents to date, which is good, but it doesn't mean that there couldn't be one tomorrow. And so, the best defense is really to try to ensure you're up to date. So if you're not sure, you should contact your healthcare provider to see, whether you are up to date. And as I mentioned, if you're going to an area that's known to have more cases, then just watch for signs and symptoms afterwards.
I had the privilege of speaking to a grandfather that just lost his granddaughter to measles, and how heartbroken he was. Ladies and gentlemen in this room, if you have children, grandchildren, please get them the measles shots. This is going around too much in our communities or in our province, and we have to put an end to it. So thank you for all you do, Dr. Wong.
Thank you.
Councillor Erb.
Thank you. With the uptake and the number of measles, Dr. Wong, are we getting an uptake from the letters that we're sending out to parents for immunization? Is there a sense that they're responding because of what's happening provincially?
I would say that the response that we're getting is by and large similar to what happens every year. When we send out the letters in November, we start to get some responses. Then when we send out a notice that, early in the year that we don't get these records, we will suspend, and you have about, 6 weeks left. Then we get a bump in responses. And then when we send out a suspension letter to say, okay, you have only a few weeks left, and if we don't have the updated records, your child will be suspended. Then we have a further bump in demand. So I would say we've been monitoring these numbers on a weekly basis, and they have been by and large similar to what we've seen in previous years.
Councillor Erb.
Thanks.
That's disappointing in some respects. You would think that people would want to be more aggressive in trying to resolve it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wong. I see no further questions. So moving on, Regional Clerk is now going to.
You got no integrity in this building. Shame upon you, Counselor. Shame, 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 shame. Honor your deal. How come we don't get raises as big as your man?
We're going to have a recess. Thank you very much. Colleagues, this is a 2-minute warning. If you're joining us virtually, please turn your cameras on. Colleagues, we are going to resume our meeting. Thank you very much. Yes, Michael, I was about to name you, but I won't. Next item is actually a very important piece of legislation that we need to discuss. It is the Municipal Diversity Plan for Waterloo Regional Police Services 2025. And I'm now going to ask Will Short, Director of Council and Administrative Services and Regional Clerk, to present the report.
Thank you, Chair. So the purpose of this report is to present a municipal diversity plan for appointments to the Waterloo Regional Police Services Board in accordance with the requirements under the Community Safety and Policing Act, and to ratify the current size of the WRPS Police Services Board. The act, the provincial piece of legislation states that every municipality needs to do this by April the 1st. So what I want to stress to council is that this is the beginning of that municipal diversity plan. This is not the final version of that municipal diversity plan. We want to be in accordance with the legislation, and over the next year and a half, we will continue working hard with and collaborating with the people that we already have, including the Equity, Diversity and Inclusion Unit at WRPS, our READY team, along with other municipalities of the same size when it comes to population, police services, and police services boards. So the report before you has a recommendation that has 4 points to it, and one of those recommendations talks about how staff will return prior to the 2026 appointment of the WRPS Police Services Board with a review and update of the Municipal Diversity Plan to outline the public engagement strategies, an update of the application process, and to have the regional chair put forward a letter of advocacy to the province, which other regional municipalities are also doing, to help advocate for the recommended knowledge and experience for provincial representatives who are appointed to the WRPSB. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Will. And I also would point out that Fazia Beg, who is head of our READY team, is also on the line to answer questions, and we have some. Councillor Hunick.
Thank you, Chair. My understanding was that the former acronym for this kind of a work with the region of Waterloo as well as the city of Waterloo was REDI, and it's since been updated to reflect READI, which reflects the accessibility aspect. I noticed in this report that it's still using the former acronym, even though there's mention of accessibility throughout. So is it possible to add the A in just to make sure that it's fully recognized by all?
We will take that under advisement. Thank you for that.
Great. Thanks.
Councillor James.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. Just a couple of things. The first one is when it comes, just for understanding, when it comes to the recruitment for the community person on the police service board, can we make sure to get back what that looks like from staff? Just kind of, the avenues taken when these appointments come up at the start of a term. And the other thing is we're keeping it at, I think, 7 people on the board. I'm just wondering when it comes to expanding the board, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, Fazia, just on if they're, with expanding, would that allow for kind of greater opportunities for broader representation to kind of strengthen the effectiveness of the municipal diversity plan? And just your thoughts on that.
Fazia, do you want to respond?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And through you, the chair. Expanding to 9 would allow, as I understand it, another community member representation to join, as well as another regional council. So depending on how the makeup of council is when this comes to be, and the advocacy with the province, those outcomes, I think this would help to increase the likelihood that there would be more diversity across the police services board, as well as, increase the likelihood of more balance between perspectives and viewpoints. So I think that a larger number in this case would be beneficial to that.
So Councillor James, Will's going to weigh in.
Councillor James, when we were looking into this, we needed to seek some clarification on how the 9 members, if we were to expand, would be broken down. And in fact, it would be a provincial appointee along with another member of regional council. So 2 positions that I don't know how to put this, we wouldn't have control over those picks because one would be an elected official and one would be an appointee by the provincial government.
Okay. And I guess just in terms of this report and what's being asked, and recognizing that there is a need to have representation across on many fronts, but I'm also conscious of if we have, one person, they can reflect some diversity, but not really speak on behalf of all communities and all of the things. So looking forward to see kind of how this comes back with staff and that community element piece in terms of engagement on this.
Councillor James, thanks for pointing that out. I think that's one of the reasons why I believe it's so important that we write to the province, because as it stands at 7 people, 3 of them are provincial appointees. And I think they are asking us to look at diversity through a diversity lens in its fullest capacity, but we do not have the numbers that they do to appoint. And they certainly we think need to take that into consideration. And I think that's why you will find all other municipalities that are going down this route are also advocating to the province that they look at providing diversity, because I think your point's really well taken. You don't want to be the lone sort of diversity representative, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, absolutely. It may appear performative or tokenizing, and that really isn't being effective when it comes to the diversity piece on this. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to go to Councillor McCabe, and then I'll go back to Councillor Hunick, because you've already spoken once, right?
Yes.
And just to also point out, colleagues, that these appointments are made at the beginning of every term. So it's not going to change the makeup or the number or who is on WRPS board right now. This will be something that the next council will deal with. Councillor McCabe.
Thank you, and thank you for that. And just for clarification, so if we add another community member, you're also referencing that we would have to add another councillor? Or am I not understanding that?
Sorry, just for clarification, as it stands right now, there's 1 community member out of the 7.
Right.
If it went to 9, it would be another provincial appointee, which there are already 3 of, so it would go to 4 provincial appointees and a regional councillor. That's how you would add 7.
But we already have 3.
Correct.
And we would have to add a 4th?
If you went to 9, yes.
Okay.
It's prescribed by the province, and I think it's worth noting that when this report was put together, we looked at other similar size communities, and they are all at the same threshold of 7 members, which is why it wasn't suggested we go to 9.
Okay, it just, 4 council representatives seems like a lot on a committee or a board that size. I mean, I'd certainly support more community members if that were possible. Thank you.
Councillor Hunick.
Thank you. I think my second question is similar to Councillor McCabe's. I was just going to say that the proportion of regional council representatives seems quite high. And I was going to ask if that's standard across municipalities. And I think you just told me it's regulated by the province. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, yes.
So thank you.
So I guess I would just suggest too, as we go through this, and clearly we don't know what we're going to hear from the community, but when we're advocating to the province, we could advocate for additional community representatives. I mean, there's a few things that we could advocate besides just asking that the provincial appointees be looked at through a diversity lens. So we have a report before us. Is there a mover and a seconder for these 4 points? Moved by Councillor Craig, seconded by Councillor Foxton. Please use your e-scribe to vote. Colleagues, that is carried. And again, to underscore, this is a beginning and not an ending. And when my predecessor was here, I used to love saying this is a floor, not a ceiling. But it doesn't have quite the cachet when Ken Sealing isn't at the table. That is carried. Other matters under the Committee of the Whole, there are no other matters. A motion for the Committee of Whole to rise and Council to resume. Moved by Councillor McCabe, seconded by Councillor Harris. Please vote that the Committee of the Whole rise and Council resume. Councillor Shantz, are you in favor? She's in favor. Thank you, colleagues. I'll now entertain a motion to adopt the proceedings of the Committee of the Whole. Okay, moved by Councillor Erb, seconded by Councillor James. Please use your e-scribe to vote. Councillor Shantz, are you in favor? That is carried, colleagues. There were no motions, notices of motions provided. Any unfinished business? Other business? Questions? Colleagues, I would now entertain a motion to go into close, and it is to consider receiving advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege related to ongoing litigation and labor relations. If I could have a mover and a seconder, moved by Councillor Wolf, seconded by Councillor Verbanovic. Do you want to second it? Okay. Seconded by Councillor Verbanovic.
Did my vote show up this time?
That is carried, colleagues. So now I need a motion to enact bylaws first, second, and third readings. Made by Councillor Wolf, seconded by Councillor Hunick. Please use your e-scribe to vote. That is carried. I now need a motion to adjourn. Councillor Nowak, would you like to move this?
Yes, I would.
Okay, Councillor Nowak's moving it. Councillor Shantz is seconding it. Please use your e-scribe to vote. That is carried, colleagues. We will see you down in the Waterloo County Room.